Good morning, fifth graders. We are starting our 8th week on distance learning. Woohoo! So today we are actually starting on dividing decimals. We're going to be working from our practice books on dividing a decimal by a whole number. This is lesson number 17, session 2. I believe it's 351 through 354 is what we're working on. So you can follow along with me as I work out these problems. And then you have ST Math to do. And then for science, there's a link in there for Study Jams by Scholastic, and it gives you information on ecosystems. And then there's a test yourself button. So first watch the video and then click on the test yourself to see how much do you really know about ecosystems. So we'll be working on that. Pretty simple today. Just a quick reminder, on Thursday is normally our live session, and I will not be having a live session with you guys on Thursday. This is because Springs is creating a professional development date for all teachers, and I will be in meetings all day on Thursday. So I will not be doing our live session, but I will have a recorded video just like I'm doing right now. And you will not be able to contact me during office hours either. I will not be available. So, but we will have Friday live session. Okay, and if you're creating any Kahoots, make sure you turn those in to me so we can do them on Friday. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're working on dividing a decimal by a whole number. Here's our problem. Coach Ann is setting up a 2 7/10 kilometer race. She uses flags to mark off 9 equal sections of the race. How far apart should she space the flags to mark off the sections? Okay, let me go ahead and get my pen here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do either. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to create the section. So the race is 2.7 kilometers long. So I'm going to draw, let's say it's a straight section for this race, okay? So here's your start, here's your finish. And then so this whole section here is 2.7 kilometers long. And then it says that she uses flags to mark off 9 equal sections. So there's going to be 9 sections here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we are going to pretend that those are equal sections. So what we're trying to find out is, what is the space of each section? So each of these sections, what is the amount of space in each of those sections? So what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to think of it like this. If it backwards, we're going to use multiplication. So 9 times what number is going to give us 2.7? 9 times what is going to give us 2.7? Well, let's just take out the equation of 2.7 and let's combine those numbers as 27. So 9 times what number gives us 27? 3, right? Okay, so we know it has to do with a 3. But because of this decimal here, we also know that it's actually not going to be 3. It's going to be like 0.3 or 0.03 or 0.003, okay? So that's the next thing, is we at least we know what the number is. It's just, what is the decimal that it actually is. So now I'm going to show you our division. So we're going to put 9 on the outside of our bar and 2.7 on the inside of our bar. So we already said that 9 goes into 27 3 times. So that means this would be a 0 here. And when you're doing when you're dealing with decimals and division, your decimal is going to go straight up. So it's going to go right there. Can you see it? There we go. Okay, so 2.7, and those were supposed to be lines going straight up. So my decimal point is going to go straight up to wherever it is. And now I can put my 3. So our answer is 0.3, 3/10. And just like in multiplication, there was one decimal space here, none over here. So there's going to be one decimal space. So 0.3 is our answer. So that means each section here is 0.3. So 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. And we know that 0.3 times 9 is 2.7 from our last lessons. Okay? So that means the space between each flag is going to be 3/10 of a kilometer. Okay, so let's look at our second page here. It says you can draw a bar model to represent the problem, which is kind of what I did here. So we had our long section, the length was 2.7. It had 9 separate groups. This is where the flags were put. And then each section we found out was 0.3. It says you do not know the number of kilometers in each group. Well, we do because we just worked it out on our last page. Okay, so at least we already know. Now let's continue. It says you can use a relationship between multiplication and division to understand the problem. To solve 2 and 7/10 divided by 9 equals k, think of 9 times what number equals 2.7. Hey, we kind of did that in our in the example also. It says use place value understanding to find the missing factor. So 2.7 is equal to 27/10. That's why I asked you, let's not think of it as 2.7, but let's think of it as 27. And then we can do 9 times 3 is 27, right? So this is where I got that from. So then we said, okay, well then this has to be 3 because 9 times 3 is 27. And if this is 27/10, this is going to be 3/10. Okay? All right, now let's go ahead and look at our picture it. It says, why is the bar divided into 9 equal parts? This is question number 1. Why is the bar divided into 9 equal parts? Well, that's because that's where Anne was spacing out the flags. So we're just going to write that. Anne spaced let me use my other side of my pen here, see if that works better. Spaced out 9 flags in 2.7 km. Okay. So then what do we need to find? We need to find the space between each flag. So that's what we're going to write. We need to find the space between each flag. Okay, number 2. How does the division expression 2.7 divided by 9 relate to the bar model? Okay, well, 2.7 represents the length of the bar model. So let's write that. 2.7 measures the length of the bar model and then 9 relates to the groups. What would be a better way to say this? Is how 2.7 was split up into 9 groups. Okay, so then 2.7 is split into 9 equal groups. Okay? And then we see that in our bar model because those were the lines separating our bar model. Okay, number 3. Explain how you know that 2.7 is equal to 27/10. Okay, well, let's go ahead and break this up. So we're going to start with our whole number 2. 2 ones is equal to 20/10. Well, why did it do that? Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it just did a strike through. But 2 ones is equal to 20/10. And then we have 7/10 still left over, so we're going to add that. Set plus 7/10. And we get 27/10. So 27/10, think of it when we were doing our place value. Wherever the last number ended, the tenths. So if we had, I'm going to draw our little place value to kind of give you a visual here. And we had our ones and our decimal. And then we had the tenths and the hundredths. So if I were to tell you 27/10, that means the 7 ends in my tenths section. Ugh, come on, stop. Let me erase real quick. Okay, now let me try that again. So this was my tenth section. So there's my 7. And the 2 goes whatever is in front of that, which in front of the decimal is the 1 section. So there's my 2. So then 2.7 is the same thing as 27/10. So that means that we're correct. Okay, number 4. How far apart should Coach Ann space the flag? Well, we already found out that the space between each of the flags should be 3/10. And as a decimal, that's going to look like 0.3. I don't understand why it keeps doing that. There we go. 0.3. Okay, number 5. It says, explain how you could divide a decimal by a whole number. Guess what, guys? We're going to cross that one out. We are not doing number 5. We are not doing number 5. Okay, so that means we are going to move on to number 6. All right, it's time for our reflection, just like we always do. Which models or strategies do you like best for dividing a decimal by a whole number? Okay, so I'm going to list the different strategies that we've talked about today. So, of course, the first one is our standard algorithm. Our standard algorithm is the box where we had 2.7 inside the box and we had 9 outside the box. Okay, so then our second strategy that we used today was multiplication to divide. Multiply to divide. And then the last strategy that we use is the bar model. So I'm going to put bar model. There we go. So just choose which strategy you like best and go ahead and write your sentences, okay? All right, of course, if you need more time, pause the video, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to our practice problems today. Number 7, how much will each person receive if $20.35 is split equally among 5 people? Show your work. Okay, I'm actually going to show you 2 different ways to do this problem. The first way I'm going to show you is we're going to break up $20.35. So first, I'm going to do my whole number, which is $20. And I'm going to use multiplication to divide. So I know that I have 5 people times what number is going to give me $20. Do we know our 5s? It's 4, right? Yeah, so 4 is going to be the first part of my answer for this right here. So I'm going to put a 4 right over here because that's going to be the first part. And then I have a decimal point here, so I'm going to put a decimal point. And now I'm going to deal with 35 hundredths. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use multiply to divide. So 5 times what number is going to give me 35 hundredths? So we're talking about hundredths here because the 5 ends in the hundredths. So that means my answer that goes with the question mark is going to be in the hundredths. So 5 times what? First of all, 5 times what is 35? 7, yep. But our answer is going to be in the hundredths. So it's actually going to be 7 hundredths. So that's going to look like 0.07. And we're going to add that to our 4 up at top. And because 4 is a whole number and 7 is hundredths, I'm just going to add 0.07. So 4.07 is my answer for number 7. There you go. Okay, now let's do it our standard algorithm way. So our standard algorithm way says we're going to have 5 on the outside. And we're going to have 20.35 on the inside. Well, I'm going to put my decimals straight up onto my quotient bar. So it's going to go right there. And now I can divide. So 5 does not go into 2. So I'm going to put a 0 up here. But 5 does go into 20. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And I subtract. And I get nothing left over, right? And now I'm going to bring down my 3. And we're going to divide again. How many times does 5 go into 3? 0 times. So my 0 is going to go above my 3. And then I'm going to bring down my 5. How many times does 5 go into 35? 7 times, yep. I'm going to put my 7 on my quotient bar. 7 times 5 is 35. I subtract, and I get no remainders. So my answer is 4.07 again. Okay, number 8. What is 0.99 divided by 11? Show your work. So this time I'm actually going to do this the standard algorithm way. We could also do it using multiplication to divide, especially if you know your 11s. I'll go ahead and split it up so we can do it both ways. So on the first way, I'll do the multiplication to divide. So that means we have 11 times what equals 0.99. Well, if you know your 11s, you know that 11 times 9 is 99, right? But remember, this is 99 hundredths. So that means our 9 is going to be in the hundredths place. So that's going to look like 0.09. Okay, that one was pretty easy. Let's go ahead and do it the standard algorithm way just to make sure we're correct. So 11 is going to go on the outside of my box. 0.99 goes on the inside. I'm going to put my decimals straight up. And 11 goes into 0 times. 11 goes into 9 0 times. And so now 11 into 99 goes 9 times. And I get 99. I subtract, and no remainder. Pretty easy? All right, number 9 is for you to do. That is your exit ticket. So you're going to do number 9, and then you can check your answer with the answer key in the book. And we are done. I hope our introduction to dividing decimals was fairly easy for you or simple. Of course, if you have any questions, you can see me during office hours today of 12:30 to 1:30. And then we'll work some more tomorrow on dividing decimals because now that we've gotten our general base for dividing decimals, we're going to add in one more thing tomorrow. All right, you guys, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.